In the deep silence of space, Captain Ryan Hale sat alone in his ship, the Horizon, staring at the endless darkness around him. He had been traveling for weeks without any mission or purpose. Only the hum of his ship and the cold light of distant stars kept him company. Ryan had once been a proud pilot of the Galactic rescue fleet, but after a failed mission that cost many lives, he chose to live far away from everyone, drifting from one system to another, searching for peace he could never find. One day, as he passed through a forgotten sector near a dying red star, his ship's AI suddenly spoke. "Captain." Detecting a weak life signal nearby, Ryan frowned and looked at the radar. There, among drifting pieces of metal and burned debris, floated a small alien craft almost torn apart. The signal was coming from inside it, faint but still alive. "Could be a trap," Ryan muttered, but something in his heart pushed him to check. He steered his ship closer and used the grappling arm to pull the wrecked vessel toward the cargo bay. As the doors closed behind it, he put on his breathing mask and entered the wreck. The air smelled of burnt metal and ozone. Sparks still flashed from broken wires, and silence filled the space like a ghost. In the middle of the ruined cockpit, he found her. A tall, thin alien woman, her silver skin covered with glowing blue lines. Her body looked fragile, like glass that could break with a touch. Ryan knelt beside her and checked for a pulse. It was weak but steady. Her chest rose and fell slowly. "Still alive," he whispered. He lifted her carefully and carried her to his ship's medbay. As the medpod scanned her body, the AI reported, "Subject is not human. Genetic structure unknown, tissue damage severe. Internal organs failing," Ryan sighed. "Do what you can." The AI worked fast, running scans and injecting nanobots into her bloodstream. Ryan watched through the glass window, her body glowing faintly under the blue light of the machines. Her face was calm, almost peaceful. He noticed strange symbols carved on her wrist, ancient letters from a language he didn't know. For some reason, he felt a strange connection, like he had met her before. Hours passed, and the machines beeped softly. The woman's breathing grew stronger. Suddenly, her eyes opened, bright. Glowing with blue fire, Ryan stepped back in shock. She looked straight at him, her gaze sharp and full of fear. She tried to speak, her lips trembling. "Man," she whispered before fainting again. Ryan froze. "She knows what I am," he said quietly. The AI responded, "Interesting, Captain. Her species record is not found in any database. She might belong to an extinct civilization." Ryan's heart started to race. He had heard rumors about lost alien races wiped out by disease or war, but never one that could recognize humans. He leaned closer to the medpod. Watching her sleep, her body was healing fast, the blue lines on her skin pulsing like gentle waves. Ryan couldn't understand why he felt protective of her. He had rescued many beings before, but this one felt different. It was like she carried something powerful, something dangerous. Then the AI beeped again. "Captain," unusual data detected in her cells. Ryan turned to the screen. His eyes widened. "What am I looking at?" he asked. The AI paused for a moment. "Her DNA contains partial human sequence fragments. It is impossible for this to occur naturally." Ryan blinked. "Human DNA? In an alien?" he whispered. He sat down slowly, trying to think. Maybe some scientist had experimented on her. Or maybe she wasn't just an alien. Maybe she was the key to something much bigger. His father's old stories came to mind. Tales about secret genetic programs and cross-species experiments that were banned centuries ago. Ryan looked at the woman again, wondering who she really was, and why fate brought her to him. He reached out and touched the glass of the medpod gently. "Who are you?" he whispered. Outside, the dying red star flickered, sending waves of light through the room, as if the universe itself was listening. Suddenly, the radar beeped loudly. "Multiple ships detected. Approaching fast," the AI warned. Ryan rushed to the control panel. "Show me." On the screen, 3 unknown vessels appeared, heading straight for his position. Their weapons were charged. "They're scanning for something," the AI said. "Most likely the alien craft you retrieved," Ryan cursed softly. They tracked her signal. He quickly shut down all external systems, trying to hide his ship's energy signature. The ships passed close by, scanning the wreckage. For a tense minute, Ryan held his breath, praying they wouldn't find him. After a few moments, they turned away and disappeared into the stars. He exhaled slowly. That was close. Then he looked back at the medpod. The woman was still unconscious, her heartbeat steady. Ryan knew one thing for sure, whoever she was. Someone didn't want her alive, and now, by saving her, he had just made himself a target too. He sat down beside the pod and whispered, "I don't know who you are, but I'm not letting them take you." As the stars outside slowly faded into the black, Ryan Hale didn't know that this simple act of kindness would soon change the destiny of the entire galaxy. Hours passed quietly inside the horizon. The medbay was filled with soft lights and the steady rhythm of beeping monitors. Captain Ryan Hale sat beside the glass pod, watching the mysterious alien woman rest peacefully. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the blue lights, and her chest moved with slow, calm breaths. The memory of her first word echoed in Ryan's mind again and again. Human. That single word made his heart uneasy. How could she know him, or even recognize his kind when her race wasn't even listed in any galactic record? Ryan leaned forward as the ship's AI broke the silence. "Captain, the patient's condition is stabilizing, but her cells are mutating rapidly," Ryan frowned. "Mutating?" The AI displayed the data on the screen. "Her DNA is rebuilding itself using unknown nanostructures mixed with human gene sequences." Ryan's eyes widened. "Human genes again?" The AI confirmed, "Yes, Captain. This alien woman carries traces of human DNA, but it appears natural, not artificially added." Ryan shook his head. "That's impossible." He thought about it for a long moment. His father had once worked on secret research involving alien-human biological compatibility. The project was shut down after being called unethical. Could this woman be connected to that project somehow? Or was this something far older? Ryan rubbed his temples, trying to make sense of it. Suddenly, a faint whisper broke his thoughts. "Where am I?" Ryan looked up quickly. The woman was awake, her bright blue eyes blinking softly. She tried to sit up, but the med pod restrained her gently. "You're safe," Ryan said calmly. "You were found inside a wreck near the Red Star system. I brought you aboard my ship." Her eyes moved around the room slowly before focusing on him. "You are human," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I thought your kind were gone from this sector." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Gone? We never came here before." She looked away. Then maybe that is why everything ended. Her strange words made him curious. "What do you mean by ended?" he asked. She took a deep breath and looked at her hands. "My people, we could no longer give life," she said quietly. "Our bodies stopped creating new ones. We became empty inside. Generation by generation we vanished, until I was the last." Ryan felt a chill run through him. "So your race died because you became infertile." She nodded slowly. "We called it the silent curse." Ryan leaned closer. "How long ago?" She hesitated. "Hundreds of cycles ago, long before the human expansion reached these systems." Ryan's mind raced. If her species had gone extinct that long ago, how was she alive? "How did you survive?" he asked. Elira's voice trembled as she spoke her name for the first time. "My name is Elira," she said softly. "I was part of an experiment, one that tried to bring back our ability to create life." Ryan stared. "And it failed?" Elira looked away, tears forming in her eyes. "It failed for everyone but me," she whispered. "They called me a defect, something unnatural." Ryan's expression softened. "And now you're being hunted," Elira nodded slowly. "They want to erase the last memory of their shame." The ship's AI interrupted again. "Captain, external scans show no nearby ships, but the previous pursuers left a tracking pulse on our hull." Ryan cursed under his breath. "So they can still find us." He quickly turned to Elira. "If we stay here, they'll return. I need to know why they want you dead. What secret are you carrying?" Elira hesitated, her eyes glowing faintly. "Because of what is inside me," she said finally. "The last experiment changed me, my blood. It carries something human." Ryan froze. "Something human? How?" Elira looked at him with deep sadness. "A scientist from your world came to us long ago. He tried to save my people. He believed human cells could fix what was broken in us." Ryan's heart pounded. "A scientist? What was his name?" She shook her head. "He called himself Hale." The name hit Ryan like lightning. Hale, that was his father's name. His hands trembled. "My father?" he whispered. "He disappeared decades ago during a classified research mission." Elira nodded. "He didn't disappear. He came to my world, he tried to help. But your kind's technology was forbidden by our leaders. They destroyed his lab and killed everyone involved. I was taken and frozen. Until you found me. Ryan felt a storm of emotions inside him. Shock, anger, disbelief, and sorrow. My father tried to save you, he said quietly. Elira's eyes softened. He gave me hope, and now you saved me too. Ryan took a deep breath, realizing the connection between them wasn't random. Fate had brought her to him, to finish what his father started. The AI interrupted again. Captain, I detect new energy signals approaching fast. Ryan turned toward the radar. 3 large ships were closing in. We have to leave now, he said. Elira looked weak. They will never stop, she whispered. Ryan helped her out of the pod and guided her toward the cockpit. Then they'll have to catch us first, he said firmly. As the horizon roared to life, Ryan gripped the controls tightly. The engines blazed and the ship shot forward into the dark expanse. Behind them, the enemy ships locked on and followed. Ryan glanced at Elira and said, Whoever you are, whatever secret you hold, I'm not letting them take you. Elira looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter than before. Then, Captain Hale, prepare yourself, she said quietly, because what lives inside me will change the fate of every world. Outside, the stars stretched into streaks of light as the ship vanished into hyperspace, and somewhere deep within Elira's body, something ancient and powerful began to awaken. The stars stretched into long, glowing trails as the horizon jumped into hyperspace. Captain Ryan Hale gripped the controls tightly, sweat forming on his forehead beside him. Elira sat weakly in the co-pilot seat, her silver skin flickering with dim blue light. They're still following, the ship's AI warned. Their tracking pulse has locked onto our energy trail. Ryan clenched his jaw. Then we'll have to lose them in the Nibarian belt. Elira looked out the window, her eyes wide with fear. That's suicide, she said. The Nibarian belt is full of magnetic storms and broken asteroids. Ryan smiled slightly. Then it's the perfect hiding place. He pushed the thrusters to maximum, and the ship sped forward, disappearing into the thick storm of space debris. Lightning-like energy bolts flashed outside. Shaking the hull violently, the AI's voice echoed. Shields down to 60%, Ryan steadied the ship, flying between 2 massive rocks that spun dangerously close. Behind them, 3 dark ships followed, their red engines glowing like angry eyes. They won't stop, Elira whispered. They are the hunters. Ryan glanced at her. Who are the hunters? Elira's voice trembled. They serve the High Council of my world. Their purpose is to erase all traces of forbidden experiments. Anyone connected to human science, Ryan frowned. So they're trying to destroy proof that humans helped your people? Elira nodded slowly. Yes, they want the past to remain buried. They fear what your kind created. The ship jolted as a plasma blast hit the rear shield. Impact on the tail section, the AI announced. Sparks flew across the control panels. I can't keep taking hits like this, Ryan muttered. We need to lose them. He turned sharply, diving deeper into the storm. AI, reroute all power to thrusters, the AI responded. That will leave minimal shield protection, Ryan grinned. Then let's hope they can't fly as well as I can. The horizon spun between collapsing asteroids, slipping through narrow gaps that seemed impossible to pass. Ryan's hands moved fast, precise, focused. The ship dodged one explosion after another. Elira held onto the seat, her eyes glowing brighter as if her body responded to the chaos around them. Suddenly her skin began to shimmer more intensely. Elira, are you okay? Ryan asked. She pressed her hand on her chest. Something inside me. It's reacting, she whispered. To what? Ryan said. The energy. The fear. I don't know. Her voice shook as blue light spread across her veins like fire under her skin. Then the ship's system beeped wildly. Unknown energy surge detected inside the medbay, the AI said. Ryan turned sharply. What now? He put the ship on auto and ran toward the med section. Elira followed weakly. Inside, the med pod glowed bright blue, and the instruments floated mid-air as if gravity itself had stopped. Ryan's eyes widened. What's happening here? Elira looked at the glowing pod, her voice soft. It's my body's connection. The fusion from your blood is waking something dormant. Ryan stared at her. My blood? Elira nodded. Your father started the experiment, but it needed another human to complete it. The words hit him like thunder. So when I saved you, I continued his work. Alira looked at him with deep sadness. Yes, and now the universe will come for us, the AI interrupted. Captain, enemy ships have entered the storm. They are closing in fast. Ryan rushed back to the cockpit. We're not done yet, he said, taking control again. He switched off all external lights and powered down the main reactor. The horizon went dark, drifting silently among the rocks. The 3 hunter ships searched the storm, their scanners sweeping the area. But the electromagnetic interference made it hard to detect anything. Ryan held his breath, watching their movements on the radar. One ship passed dangerously close. Its shadow sliding over them like a ghost, Alira whispered. They will find us eventually. Ryan shook his head. Not today. He waited for the right moment, then powered the ship suddenly. Now. The engines roared to life, sending the horizon blasting out of the storm. The sudden burst of light confused the enemy sensors. They're losing us, the AI said. Ryan smiled. Good, but the victory was short-lived. A new blip appeared on the radar and a massive battleship, far larger than the others, emerging from hyperspace right in front of them. Its hull was black as night, marked with golden emblems of the High Council. That's their command ship, Alira whispered. The Praetor, the enormous ship, opened its hangar doors, releasing dozens of small drones that surrounded them like a swarm. Ryan's face turned pale. We can't outrun that. Alira looked at him, her eyes glowing fiercely now. Then let me try. She placed her hand on the control panel, and the blue light from her body merged with the ship's system. The entire cockpit glowed, and the horizon suddenly accelerated beyond its limit. The AI stuttered. Unidentified energy boost. Propulsion exceeding safety levels, Ryan shouted. Alira, what are you doing? She closed her eyes. Trust me, Captain. The ship vanished into a burst of blue light. Leaving the swarm behind moments later, they reappeared far from the Nibarian belt, drifting above a quiet planet surrounded by rings of ice. Ryan looked at her, speechless. You teleported the ship? Alira opened her eyes slowly, exhausted but alive. No, she whispered. I bent space. Ryan stared at her in awe, realizing she was far more powerful than he ever imagined. He turned to look out the window at the peaceful stars ahead. But deep inside, he knew the hunters would not stop here. The chase had only just begun, and the galaxy was about to witness something it had never seen before. The rise of a secret that could change the future of every living world. The ship drifted quietly above the frozen rings of the silent planet. Only the faint hum of the horizon's engine broke the calm. Captain Ryan Hale stared at Alira as she rested in the med bay. Her breathing was slow, her silver skin faintly glowing under the soft blue lights. She looked peaceful, but Ryan knew something inside her had changed. She had bent space itself, something no human or alien had ever done. And it had almost destroyed the ship. He sat in the cockpit, scrolling through his father's old logs again. The files were hidden deep in the system, locked behind codes only a Hale could open. Each file carried his father's voice, distant, calm, full of regret. If anyone finds this, remember, the recording said, life is not meant to be controlled, but it can be reignited. Ryan leaned closer as static filled the audio. The key lies in human cells. They adapt beyond limits, but the risk... The message cut off. Ryan clenched his fists. You knew what you were doing, didn't you, Dad? He muttered. A sudden sound came from the med bay. Ryan rushed inside. Alira was awake, sitting up. Her blue eyes flickered with light like twin stars. How long was I out? She asked weakly. Almost 6 hours, Ryan said. You saved us, but you nearly burned yourself out. She looked down at her hands, still glowing faintly. I felt connected to something greater, she whispered. The energy wasn't mine, it was ancient. It came from inside the blood you gave me. Ryan frowned. You mean, from me? Alira nodded. Your cells are changing me. They are repairing what my species lost, but they are also creating something new. Ryan sat down beside her. Something new? Alira hesitated. A new form of life, she said softly. Part human, part something else. The ship's AI interrupted. Captain, strange biological activity is rising in the med bay environment. Temperature and oxygen levels increasing unnaturally. Ryan looked at the readings. Her body's energy field is expanding, he said. Alira clutched her chest. It's hard to control, she gasped. Blue light burst from her fingertips. Forming tiny particles that floated in the air like glowing dust, Ryan backed away. "Elira, stop. You're going to hurt yourself." She tried to calm her breathing. But the glow kept growing stronger. "It's not pain," she said through trembling lips. "It's creation." The floating lights began to take shape, small glowing orbs swirling slowly above her hands. "These are life codes," she whispered. "Fragments of what we once were." Ryan watched in awe, but also in fear. The orbs pulsed brighter and the ship's lights flickered. "AI, isolate the medbay energy field," he commanded. "Negative?" "The energy is beyond system capacity," the AI replied. Elira closed her eyes and forced the orbs back into her body. The room dimmed again. Silence returned. She collapsed onto the bed. Breathing heavily, Ryan knelt beside her. "You're killing yourself," he said softly. She shook her head weakly. "No, I'm becoming what I was meant to be." He stared at her for a moment, then looked at the data streaming on the monitors. The readings showed rapid cell evolution. She wasn't just healing. She was transforming. Her fertility markers, once dormant, were active again. Ryan's hands trembled as he realized what this meant. "It worked," he whispered. "My father's theory worked." Elira looked up at him, confusion in her eyes. "Theory?" He nodded slowly. He believed human cells could reignite alien fertility, but it was banned by the Galactic Council. They called it the Forbidden Experiment. Elira's voice trembled. "Then your father, he saved me." Ryan smiled sadly. "He tried, but they stopped him, and now it's happening again. Through us." She looked at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. "Then maybe fate wanted it this way," she said quietly. Suddenly, the AI's voice interrupted again, louder this time. "Captain, unidentified signal detected. It matches High Council encryption." Ryan's heart sank. "They found us." The radar screen flashed red, showing multiple incoming vessels entering the planet's orbit. "They tracked the energy surge," he said. "Your power led them right here." Elira stood weakly. "Then we have no choice," she said. "We must finish what your father started." Ryan turned to her. "Finish it?" "We can't fight a fleet." Elira shook her head. "Not fight, evolve." Before Ryan could answer, she walked toward the med pod, her body glowing brighter than ever. "If I merge completely with the human code, I can become the source of life again. But it will either save me or destroy me." Ryan grabbed her arm. "You don't know what will happen." She smiled faintly. "Neither did your father, but he tried anyway." She stepped into the pod, and the glass sealed around her. The AI displayed a warning. "Extreme biofusion in progress." The ship trembled as power surged through its systems. Blue light filled the medbay, spreading like fire through every wire. Ryan shielded his eyes. "Elira!" he shouted, her voice echoed faintly through the light. "Do not fear, Captain Hale, this is the beginning." The pod's monitors spiked, then went dark. The light faded and everything fell silent. Ryan's heart sank. He ran to the pod. The glass was cracked. Inside, Elira lay motionless, her skin pale. "No," he whispered. He hit the controls, trying to revive her. "AI, restart her vitals." "No response detected," the AI said quietly. Ryan slammed his fist on the panel. "I killed her," he whispered. His voice broke as he sank to his knees beside the pod. Outside, the frozen planet's rings shimmered faintly as waves of strange blue energy began to spread outward into space. Ryan didn't notice, he only saw her still body. But what he didn't know was that the energy leaving the planet would soon be detected across the galaxy, carrying with it the impossible message that life had just been reborn. The medbay was silent. The only sound was the faint hum of the ship's power core. Captain Ryan Hale sat on the cold floor beside the pod, staring at Elira's still body. Her silver skin had turned pale white, and the blue lines that once glowed with life were now dark and motionless. His eyes were red from sleeplessness, and his heart felt heavy like stone. "I tried to save you," he whispered softly, "and I failed. Just like my father." He looked out through the small window of the medbay. The frozen planet below shimmered with strange blue waves spreading across its icy rings. At first he thought it was only a reflection from the ship's lights, but then the waves began to move, growing stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat. The AI's voice broke the silence. "Captain, external sensors detect a planetary energy surge. Unidentified origin." Ryan stood up quickly. "Show me." On the main screen he saw something breathtaking. The entire planet was glowing, the ice turning into shimmering blue crystal, and streams of light were flowing toward the ship. "It's her," he whispered. "It's Elira." The energy reached the hull and spread through the medbay walls like flowing water. The air felt warm, alive. Ryan backed away as the pod began to glow once more. The cracks in the glass sealed themselves, and the sound of a soft heartbeat filled the room. Ryan's eyes widened. No way. The blue light grew brighter, and suddenly Elira gasped for air. Her chest rose sharply, her skin turned silver again, and the glowing lines returned, brighter than ever before. She opened her eyes slowly and they shone with pure blue fire. Ryan rushed to her side. "Elira, can you hear me?" She blinked, breathing heavily. "Ryan," she whispered, "I saw everything." He frowned. "Everything?" Elira nodded. "The stars, the past. Your father's dream, my people's sorrow. It all became one." Her voice was soft but full of power. She lifted her hand and tiny orbs of blue light floated from her skin, dancing gently in the air. "I am not who I was," she said quietly. "I am something new." Ryan stared in disbelief. "You died, Elira," she smiled faintly. "Death is only a door, Captain Hale. You opened it for me." The orbs drifted toward him. One touching his hand, it felt warm, alive. "What are these?" he asked. "Life," she replied simply. "Pure life," the AI spoke again. "Captain, the energy signature from the planet has been detected across multiple star systems. Long-range sensors show movement from High Council fleets. They are coming." Ryan turned to Elira. "They'll come to destroy you." Elira shook her head slowly. "No, they will come to understand. Though they will not see it yet." She stepped out of the pod, her feet glowing softly as they touched the floor. Her entire body radiated light now. Ryan felt both awe and fear. "You're reborn," he said quietly. "More than that," Elira replied. "Your blood did not just heal me, it awakened what was lost. My body now carries both your kind and mine, united as one." Ryan's mind raced. "So my father's forbidden experiment, and it worked through us." Elira nodded. "Yes, and now the universe knows. The pulse you saw was the rebirth signal. Every scanner, every satellite, every ship across the stars will see it." Ryan looked out the window again, the blue waves still spreading far into the distance. "You just told the entire galaxy that new life exists," he said in disbelief. Elira smiled faintly. "The council called it a curse, but life is never a curse. It only sleeps until someone dares to wake it." Ryan felt a strange calm in his chest. For the first time in years, he felt purpose again. He looked at her. "So what now?" She turned toward the stars. "Now we give them hope." Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Alarms blared. "Captain, hostile fleet entering orbit. Weapons charged," the AI warned. Ryan ran to the cockpit. 3 massive ships were descending through the clouds. Elira followed, her glow dimming slightly as she focused. "They won't listen," she said sadly. Ryan set his jaw. "Then we'll make them see." He activated the ship's comm system, broadcasting a message on all frequencies. "This is Captain Ryan Hale of the Horizon." His voice echoed. "We carry proof that life can be reborn, and we will not surrender it." The reply came almost instantly, a deep, cold voice. "Human, you play with powers beyond your right. Release the experiment or be destroyed." Elira stepped forward and spoke into the transmitter, her voice calm but powerful. "I am the experiment," she said, "and I am alive." There was silence across the channel, and then the fleet opened fire. Ryan pulled the ship upward as plasma beams streaked past. "We can't fight them," he shouted. Elira's eyes glowed fiercely. "We don't have to." She closed her eyes and the blue light burst from her body again, spreading through the ship and into the sky. The enemy weapons froze mid-fire. The ships themselves stopped moving, drifting silently. Ryan watched in shock as the blue light reached every vessel. "What are you doing?" he whispered. "Showing them life," Elira replied softly, one by one. The enemy ships powered down. Their lights fading. The fleet stopped attacking, the blue light vanished, leaving only quiet space behind. Ryan looked at her in disbelief. "You stopped a fleet?" Elira smiled gently. "No. I reminded them what they are made of. The same life that flows through you, through me, through every star." Ryan looked at her, speechless. realizing the truth. Elira was no longer just a survivor. She was a living symbol, the bridge between species, the rebirth of hope. As the stars glowed outside, Ryan whispered, "Elira, you changed everything." She turned to him, her voice soft. "No, Captain Hale, we changed everything." And far beyond their sight, across countless worlds, the signal of rebirth continued to spread, awakening ancient dreams and forgotten species. The galaxy, once cold and divided, now felt the first heartbeat of a new beginning. The galaxy was no longer silent. The signal from Elira's rebirth had spread faster than light, reaching planets, space stations, and colonies across every known system. Some called it a miracle, others called it a threat. The High Council declared it a cosmic contamination, claiming that the fusion of human and alien life violated universal law. Within days, warships filled the skies of countless worlds. Captain Ryan Hale and Elira stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching as holographic screens displayed hundreds of incoming transmissions. Every message carried the same command: surrender the hybrid or be destroyed. Ryan clenched his jaw. "They're scared," he said quietly. Elira nodded, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "Fear always comes before change." The AI's calm voice broke through the tension. "Captain, multiple fleets are converging on your position. Estimated arrival: 6 hours. Ryan sighed. "Then this is it. The whole galaxy against 2 souls." Elira stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Not 2 souls, Ryan. 1 purpose." She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. Her energy spread through the ship like soft light through glass. The horizon responded, panels flickering to life, engines humming with new strength. "She's merging with the systems," the AI reported. "Her life force is bonding with the core." Ryan stared in awe. "Elira, what are you doing?" She smiled gently. "If the universe wants war, then it will face life itself." Outside, the stars trembled as the first wave of enemy ships emerged from hyperspace. Massive destroyers filled the dark void, their weapons charged with red plasma. "Prepare for impact," Ryan ordered. The first blasts hit the horizon's shields, shaking the ship violently. Sparks burst across the control panels. "Shields down to 60%, the AI announced. "Recharging is impossible." Elira raised her hand, and the energy from her body flowed outward, wrapping the ship in a shimmering blue aura. The next barrage hit, and dissolved harmlessly in light. Ryan stared, speechless. "You just turned energy into nothing." She looked at him, her expression calm. "Into life, Ryan. Every attack they send only feeds it." The comms crackled. A voice filled the bridge, deep and angry. "This is Admiral Core of the High Council Fleet. Cease your resistance, or we will erase your ship from existence." Ryan leaned toward the console. "You can't erase what you don't understand, Admiral. We're not your enemy." The Admiral laughed coldly. "Every infection claims innocence before spreading. Humanity should have stayed in its cradle." Before Ryan could respond, Elira spoke, her voice echoing through every ship in the fleet. "You speak of infection, yet it is fear that poisons you, not life." Her words reverberated like thunder, and for a moment, even the enemy ships hesitated. Their captains stared at their screens, unsure of what they had just felt. Ryan seized the moment. "If you destroy us, you destroy the proof that life can evolve beyond war." But the Council's ships opened fire again, beams of crimson light raining down like meteors. Elira spread her arms wide and the horizon exploded with light. The entire battlefield was engulfed in a wave of blue energy. When the light faded, the enemy ships were frozen in place, not destroyed, but silent. Their crews stood motionless, eyes glowing faintly blue, connected to the same living energy. Ryan's eyes widened. "What did you do to them?" Elira whispered softly. "I gave them what they've forgotten, the memory of life before power." Inside each ship, captains and soldiers saw visions of their ancestors, their homes, the first moments their species learned to dream, to feel again. It broke something deep inside them, not in pain, but in awakening. The war that was supposed to end all life now began to heal it, but not everyone accepted the change. A massive dreadnought appeared from hyperspace, larger than any Ryan had ever seen, black as night, pulsing with red veins of energy. "That's the Council's flagship," Ryan said grimly. "The Judgment." The AI's tone darkened. Weapon readings. Catastrophic. One blast could destroy an entire moon. Elira turned toward the looming ship. "They have made their choice." The dreadnought's weapon charged, a sphere of burning red light forming at its core. Ryan gripped the controls. "Elira, if that thing fires, we're gone." She didn't move, her voice calm. "Then let them see the truth before the end." The blast fired, a blinding beam tore across space. The horizon shuddered, alarms screamed, and the screens went black. Ryan fell to his knees, the sound of fire and metal filling the air. "Elira!" he shouted. Through the smoke, she stood still, her body surrounded by blinding light. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Life will not end this way." She raised both hands, and the beam that had been meant to destroy them began to bend backward. Folding upon itself, the red light turned blue, and the energy scattered into thousands of glowing fragments drifting like stars. The dreadnought was silent, its weapon gone. The entire fleet stopped firing. The AI spoke softly. "Captain, every enemy system is shutting down. They are no longer hostile." Ryan stared at Elira, who now looked weak, her glow fading. "You did it," he said. "You stopped the war." She smiled faintly. "No, Ryan. I reminded them what life means." Her body flickered, and Ryan reached out, holding her before she could fall. "Stay with me, Elira, please," he whispered. She looked at him with peaceful eyes. "If I fade, remember, this isn't the end. It's the beginning." Outside, the wreckage of battle floated silently through the glowing blue mist. The galaxy watched, stunned, as the most powerful fleet in history bowed to the power of life. And somewhere deep within the ship, Elira's heartbeat echoed one last time, soft but eternal, like a promise written across the stars. The war had ended, but silence filled the stars once again. The fleets that once burned with hatred now drifted quietly in the void, their weapons cold, their crews speechless. Every captain, every soldier who had seen the light of Elira's power now carried her memory inside them. Like a heartbeat that would never fade, Captain Ryan Hale stood alone on the bridge of the horizon, staring into the endless blue glow that lingered after the battle. The ship floated near the remains of the Council's dreadnought. Now hollow and lifeless, its massive frame shimmered with blue veins of energy, the same energy that had once flowed through Elira. Ryan's reflection looked tired, older, his uniform torn and burned, but his eyes were filled with something new. Peace. "AI," he said quietly. "Status report." The voice of the Horizon's AI came softly. "All systems stable, Captain. Enemy fleets have disengaged. Communication channels remain open. Multiple planets have sent requests for peace treaties." Ryan nodded slowly. Elira's message reached them. The AI paused for a moment before replying. "It did, sir, across every corner of the galaxy." Ryan walked to the observation deck, his hand resting on the cold glass. "She gave her life for this," he whispered. "She became the bridge." The AI's tone turned almost human. "She is not gone, Captain." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" The AI's lights flickered blue. "Before her energy faded, she integrated her essence into the Horizon's core. Her consciousness lives within the ship." Ryan's heart skipped. "You're saying Elira is part of the Horizon?" "Yes, Captain," the AI replied gently. "In every light, in every pulse of this ship, she breathes." Ryan closed his eyes, relief and sorrow mixing inside him. "Then I'm not alone," he murmured. Outside, the stars began to move, not in reality, but in light. As if the universe itself was alive again, messages poured in from distant worlds, alien species, human colonies and civilizations that had once been enemies, all seeking unity under one symbol, the legacy of life. Ryan began transmitting Elira's final message to all systems. her voice echoing across the void. Life is not divided by blood or form. It is one river flowing through infinite shapes. When one life rises, all rise with it. As her words spread, something miraculous began to happen across the galaxy. On distant planets, long-dead forests began to bloom again. Oceans that had dried for centuries started to return. Machines that had forgotten compassion began to help the weak. Even alien species that once hunted humans began to protect them. Elira's energy had awakened something deeper. The will to live, not to rule. Ryan smiled faintly as he watched the transmissions. "She changed everything," he whispered. The AI responded softly. "She changed everyone." As days turned into weeks, the horizon became a symbol of peace, drifting from one world to another, bringing healing and hope wherever it went. The skies turned blue with energy, marking the path of new beginnings, but deep inside Ryan's heart, the ache of loss never fully faded. He missed her voice, her light, her calm strength. One night, as he sat alone in the command chair, a soft hum filled the room, the lights dimmed, and a familiar glow appeared beside him. Elira's holographic form shimmered gently in the air. "You look tired, Captain," she said. Ryan froze, his voice trembling. "Elira, is it really you?" She smiled softly. "Part of me, yes. The horizon remembers, and so do you." Ryan stood, tears welling in his eyes. "You should have lived, not me." She shook her head gently. "I am life, Ryan. I don't end. I transform." He laughed quietly, a sound mixed with pain and joy. "You always said life finds a way." Elira looked at him, her glowing eyes full of warmth. "And you helped it, your courage, your kindness, your humanity. That's what saved the galaxy." The two stood in silence, watching the stars outside, each one glowing brighter. Like 1,000 souls awakened, Elira turned her gaze toward the horizon of space. "The Council will change," she said. "The old laws will fade and new life will rise. But you must guide them," Ryan nodded. "I'll try." She placed a hand on his chest, her touch like light. "Don't try, Ryan, lead them. Humanity is the heart of the galaxy now, because it remembers what others forgot. Mercy." Her image began to fade slowly. "Don't go," Ryan whispered. "Not yet," she smiled, her voice soft. "I'm not gone, Captain Hale. I'll always be where life begins again." Her light disappeared into the ship's core, and the horizon's engines began to glow blue once more. Ryan looked out at the stars, feeling her presence in every sound. "Every heartbeat of the ship, Elira," he said quietly. "You gave the galaxy a future far across space. Colonies united, fleets lowered their weapons, and new cities were built under the banner of the Living Accord, a symbol born from Elira's sacrifice. Children grew up hearing her story not as a myth, but as history. The woman who died to remind the universe what it means to live." Ryan took one final flight into the unknown, carrying the legacy of life beyond the mapped stars. Where no one had ever gone, his voice echoed in the log. "This is Captain Ryan Hale of the Horizon, continuing Elira's mission and to find life wherever it hides, and to remind it that it matters." As the ship vanished into the deep blue of space, a soft light followed, bright and eternal. The galaxy watched and remembered, and somewhere among the stars, Elira's voice whispered, "Life will always find its way."